This is the first time somebody ever does an experiment like this in the world.
We wanted to convince people that are still skeptical about using this soft nature to protect your dikes that it's actually working.
It's generally thought that trees dampen waves, so they reduce wave impacts, also under extreme conditions and under storms. But this is not measured yet, and it's hard to measure in the field because it's hard to go out in a storm and measure. So we want to test this under more controlled conditions, but on the realistic scales. We constructed a willow forest in our delta flume. This flume can make the largest artificial wave in the world. The forest is 40 meters long, and it consists of 32 trees. Those trees are 15 years old, and we measure the waves in front of the forest, inside the forest, and behind the forest. I also think that with climate change, sea level rise, growing population in delta areas, we will have to make choices. We will not be able to put hard protection structures everywhere because of the costs, because of the high maintenance effort. So I think we have to learn to better conserve our natural systems because they are the natural protective buffers.
What I see with the young generation is that they really have the motivation to do something with building with nature and to shape our water defenses in a different way. And I think these experiments are a nice contribution to that, because these experiments will give them insight, quantitative insight, in actually what they can do with vegetation in shaping the nature-based solutions of the future.
We need to innovate, we need to find new ways of protecting our people against the harms that can come from flooding. And this is one of the edges of science in which we are very interested, because it may enlarge our toolkit to keep our citizens safe.
If nature can help to make our sea defenses safer and cheaper and better, then of course I'm all for that. But of course as engineers we want real proof that these dikes are strong enough. So if you want trees to help in the safety of the dikes, we also need to test the dikes. We want to know how much the wave height decreases when it passes through the forest. And of course, if the wave height becomes much smaller through the forest, then the waves are lower that hit our dike. So that's the primary thing we want to measure.
We can of course scale it up then to larger forests. What if this forest would have been like double the size, or 100 meters wide, or kilometers wide? And I think if we learn more about natural systems, then it will help us to better protect people worldwide.
Together we make it possible to take these steps forward in flood safety management.
This dataset is critical to convince other regulators, responsible governments in the world that indeed vegetation can contribute to the safety against flooding. The safety against flooding in rivers, estuaries, coastlines, everywhere around the world.